Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. So today I've got something a bit of a different video for you today, which is a review of my favourite e-reading device, the Kindle Oasis. So I have seen a load of reviews for the Oasis, and I think that while I was able to understand from those reviews that I wanted to buy it, there were just 2 or 3 features that I really wanted from an e-reader. But what I want to do today is talk about my experience having owned one for coming up on 3 years now, and the Oasis is also the device where I did pretty much all of my reading for the first year that I got back into reading. I didn't really use physical books very much for the first year or so, whereas now I do have a preference in many cases for a physical book, like this big chunky one that I've got from the library I'm currently reading. But I do also really enjoy reading on an e-reader, and there's a few reasons why I like reading on an e-reader. So basically what I thought was, let's talk about the Oasis, talk about why I would recommend it over, over every other Kindle, and then I'll talk a little bit about Kindle versus physical books and why I kind of choose to do both rather than just solidly only reading Kindle or only reading physical. So, first off, let's talk a little bit about the Oasis. So, I have the previous generation model. So this one was released in, it doesn't even say on the back of the, usually it says on the back of the device, like when it was made. But so I had the previous generation model. The current generation has basically no updates or changes apart from a bigger starting memory. So this one is an 8 GB starting memory. In fact, looking up here, they're all 8 GB. So I think that there's basically no difference between this generation and the newer one, probably just slightly different, cheaper construction, which is what a lot of the time electronics manufacturers will do, is they'll find a way to make the Kindle cheaper, so they'll release a new model. So yeah, this is the previous generation Kindle Oasis. I bought this secondhand, so it had already been used before I got it, but I bought it for a ridiculously low price for an Oasis. I think that I paid around £100 for it, and considering that the Kindle Oasis is currently for sale on Amazon for £230, you can see how much of a saving that is. I bought it from the UK retailer CEX, and I traded in my previous Kindle towards it. So I think in the end, I think I paid about £80 in total. So why did I pick the Oasis? It's really, really simple. It's physical buttons. I don't know if you heard that click, but physical buttons when you're reading are, I think, an absolute game changer. I could not do without them. I had previously had the Kindle keyboard, and then when my Kindle keyboard died, I bought a Kindle Voyage, which was kind of the predecessor to the Oasis. So the Voyage was the previous super premium Amazon e-reader. And whilst now there is in fact an even more premium one than the Oasis, I would argue that this is the premium version for the majority of people, because the Kindle Scribe obviously has its uses. So the Kindle Scribe is a 10-inch tablet that you can write on, but it's also a Kindle. So I think the Kindle Scribe is awesome. I've seen a couple in real life. I think that they're too big for me to read on. I wouldn't enjoy reading on them. But if you are, for example, somebody who needs to wear reading glasses maybe, but doesn't like to do so, or you get eye strain because your eyesight's starting to go, then I absolutely would say get yourself a Kindle Scribe. Yes, it's unwieldy, but you can have massive font on that thing. Like I told my mother to buy a Kindle Scribe, and she absolutely loves it. So that's definitely what I would say, to be honest. Like, if you are the sort of person who is constantly changing page on your Kindle because the text size is so big, then a Kindle Scribe is probably a good one for you. And the reason is because Kindle screens are made up of hundreds of thousands of tiny little balls, which are black on one side and grey on the other. And the reason why your Kindle does not use almost any battery when it's in standby mode is because basically the way e-ink screens work, and these are all e-ink screens, not just Kindles, is that they send a kind of an electrical signal through the screen which flips the balls from black to grey. So when it's not in use, when the screen is not turning, the battery is not reducing. So if, for example, you have a Kindle and the battery life is starting to decharge and stuff overnight, guarantee you that that's going to be because it's downloading updates or contacting a server. So you probably just want to. Here's my Kindle advice: if you've got a Kindle and you are losing battery overnight, put it in airplane mode when you're not using it. That's the easiest way to do it. Not something that I personally like to do because I like to sync books, sync my reading progress across my phone, maybe a tablet, my Kindle and Audible. So I don't tend to turn the wireless radio off, and I'd rather just charge mine more often. But if you are worried about your Kindle battery, and you might have to be if you buy a Kindle Oasis, which I will talk about when we get to the cons, and I think it's really the only con is the battery life. I would massively say just turn the airplane mode off on one, because you'll definitely see some battery increase from that. So I bought the Kindle Oasis for the page turn buttons, and mostly because I've only ever had a Kindle with page turn buttons. I tried my wife's Kindle, which is just the standard bog standard Kindle from I want to say 2018. We bought ours. She bought hers around the same time I bought my Voyage, and so I tried her touchscreen Kindle, and it's just not for me. I like to have the option. I do actually turn pages using the touchscreen quite a lot, but I really want the option to be able to use the buttons. And I feel like having those page turn buttons makes the Kindle much, much more friendly for one-handed operation. Whilst you can scroll with your thumb like you can on your phone with a Kindle Oasis, the thingamajig, the page turn buttons are a lot better. I've just realised that I've cropped off the top of my head, so I'm going to very quickly raise the camera. Okay, apologies about that. The first half of this video, I'm not refilming 8 minutes, and my head's going to be cropped off. Sorry about that. So, yes, we're talking about the Oasis here. So, now, when I'm talking about reading experiences, right, if you're watching BookTube, it's because reading is probably your main hobby, or a major hobby that you spend an awful lot of time doing. Now, the major benefit to the Oasis is the premium quality of the device. So you see the back here, it's silver, it's made of metal, and the front screen is made of glass. What that means is that it doesn't get like greasy and fingerprinty like the matte plastic Kindles, and you also it's just such a nice reading experience. I've often found when I'm reading, or when I've used one of the plastic body Kindles, that I have that it just becomes like greasy, and I don't like holding it. But the metal and glass Kindle Oasis, I definitely don't have that problem. So the Oasis feels lovely in the hand, and I can read this for literally hours. When I was reading Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, I read I want to say like a quarter of one of the books in a day. I just sat down all day and read Stormlight Archive and did basically nothing else. And I used this Kindle, and I had a great time doing it. While we are here, I guess it probably is time to talk about the battery. So the battery life is not amazing. With my Kindle Voyage or with previous with the Kindle keyboard, for example, I would probably charge that once or twice, once a month, maybe once every 2 months. The Voyage, especially, I would charge that like, God, once, yeah, once every month. I find that I am charging the Kindle Oasis every other book, so I'm still not charging it every day like I am a phone. And to be honest, I would not have a problem doing that. I charge my phone every other day, probably every day. I basically will charge it in the morning before I get started with my day, unless I'm driving into the office, in which case I'll charge it overnight. So, and I charge my smartwatch every couple of days. I charge my I charge my headphones. My laptop lives on charge most of the time. So we live in a society within which there's always something charging. You're always charging every day. So I have no issue with a Kindle that you have to charge every day. However, even when I am using this for hours a day, we're talking when I'm binge reading on a Kindle, I'll often start reading when my son goes to bed at like 7 or 8 o'clock and stop reading at like 11:30 to midnight. So when I am binge reading on this thing, I'm still not charging it every day. I'm still charging it maybe once a week. So the thing that I would say is, if you are an obsessive reader, or if, for example, if you have very high font sizes, which means that you turn pages a lot more, and that uses more of your battery, then you might want to think about one of the other Kindles if you're the kind of person who's not, who's not prepared to charge overnight. But really, I mean, who in this world is not charging a device every single day? And I just have, next to my bed, I have a multi-socket USB plug, which has plug for my phone, plug for my watch, plug for a Kindle, and I just charge it whenever it runs out. So, and I don't think I've ever been reading a book and the battery run out and I've been like, ugh, now I've got to go and charge it. Like, that's not happening. So I think your mileage will obviously vary. In certain situations, you may find that the battery is not good enough for you, or if you have a higher kind of standard or bar for your battery. But really, I would absolutely charge this thing every single day, purely to have page turn buttons, a glass screen, and a metal back. You may notice that I don't use a case. It's because I very, very rarely take my Kindle outside of the house, and I don't let my son touch it. He would absolutely break a glass screen, but I just make sure that he knows that it's my special thing, and then he's not allowed to play with it. And he's totally happy with that. Many other children may not be, but he's fine. So yes, it's quite sturdy. I have dropped it on a carpeted floor, and there's been zero issues with it at all. No dents, no nicks, no scratches. I mean, I've put it in a bag without a case, and it's come out with no scratches. I have since bought a tiny little pouch, which is basically just like a woolen bag with a magnetic flap that is the exact size of the Kindle, and so I don't use. I do use that when I'm throwing it in my work bag with things like laptop chargers and pens and stuff like that, but very, very rarely. So, why would I recommend the Kindle Scribe? Basically, it's page turn buttons and premium construction, and I found out actually after the fact that the premium construction probably matters more to me now than the page turn buttons did, because I do sometimes turn a page with my finger. This also is a really, really great one-handed Kindle, and the reason being is that all the weight is on one side, but whichever way you hold the Kindle up is the way that the screen reorients to. So it's just like your phone, the gyroscope inside will reorient it so it's this way or the other way. And the page turn buttons also change orientation when you change. The page turns are instant, even though it is a very old Kindle. I say very old. I think that this model came out in like 2018 or something. So, but 5 years in consumer tech is old really at this time. But even though it is an older Kindle, you do the page turns are super quick. I don't buy books on the Kindle itself. I buy them on my laptop or on my phone. So I don't really have much experience with the Kindle store on here. Downloading books is basically instant. It has what I have the Wi-Fi edition. This is currently the only device that you can still get their permanent free, permanent free 4G connection. So if you are the kind of person who maybe, I don't know, if you're the kind of person who wants to be able to download books constantly and instantly onto your Kindle, and you might be away from a Wi-Fi connection, or you don't have a good data package on your phone that you can do for tethering, then absolutely that free Wi-Fi option is there, and it's not. It is completely free. You do have to pay extra for the. You do have to pay extra for the use of the Kindle itself, but you don't pay any like subscription fees or anything after that. Fair warning though, in that the I believe it's run on 4G, and in America they have just switched off 3G, so that means that all the Kindles that were running on 3G now cannot connect to that internet because the 3G protocol doesn't exist. So if you we're not in a crazy world where where they might actually get rid of 4G at some point in the future when it becomes obsolete. So if you are the kind of person who wants to buy a Kindle and use it for 10 years, which, Kindles do last a very long time. If you want to buy a Kindle and use it for 10 years, you might want to think about network connection when it comes to your Kindle. So we've talked about why the Kindle's great. We've talked about some weird facts about how the screens work and how the full free 4G works. Hopefully you couldn't hear my son who decided to shout at the top of his lungs then. If you did, then that's a fun bonus for you. So, why would you read Kindle books over a physical book? When we know, we're BookTube guys, we love physical books. I'm a bit of a minimalist when it comes to books. I own and have in my collection, I think I can see maybe 5 or 6 books. And multiple of those are ones that I couldn't get from the library, so bought and waiting to read, and then I will donate them when I've read them. But they're low priority. They're just books that I saw for cheap and knew I wanted to read. So in my permanent collection, I'd be shocked if I have more than 5 books. That might be weird for a booktuber, but I don't see a point in keeping books because I just don't have the time to reread. And if I do have time to reread, I donate all of my books to the same library system, the Somerset library system, so I can just get my own books back from the library. So why would I choose to read Kindle over a physical book, even though physical books are better and I absolutely do prefer them? Kindle is number one, the only place you can get Kindle Unlimited. So if you want to read books using Kindle Unlimited, you have to have a Kindle. You can use the Kindle app on your phone, but e-reading on a phone is just not ideal, and e-reading even on a tablet isn't ideal. I have, this is a weird one, but going back, before I bought a Kindle in the late 2000s, I read the entire Game of Thrones series on my iPhone 5, and so that tells you how addicted I was to those books, and also how much of a weirdo and an idiot I was. But I think I got all those books for 99p on Kindle, and I just read them all, up to Dance with Dragons, which I read physically when it came out in 2011. So the why would you read a Kindle? And I'll tell you now, it's synchronization. That is the 100% reason why I read on Kindle. It's sync. It's being able to get books day one for cheaper than physical books if the library doesn't have them and I cannot wait. So that is one of the reason. But synchronization is the major reason. So being able to be, stood waiting in line somewhere, and instead of getting out Instagram or Twitter and browsing social media, I'm reading a couple of pages. It's when I'm putting my son to bed and I'm sat in a dark room. I can't read a physical book because it's dark so that he can sleep, but he's not asleep yet. That is when I'll be reading the Kindle app on my phone, and then when I get downstairs, I can pick up my Oasis, which is my preferred reading device for digital books. Why do I prefer the Oasis over a phone or a tablet? Because it has no internet connection, or it has no internet browser, it has no social media, it has no WhatsApp. So I'm not getting messages through constantly. I'm just reading. And there's nothing else I can do on this but read. I could browse books on it, but I would probably rather do that on another device. So basically, when I pick this up, I'm reading with it. The one negative that I have with my Kindle, and this is one of the major reasons that I switched to physical books, is that if I'm holding a device in my hand that has a screen, I want to use my phone. It reminds me enough of a tablet, it reminds me enough of my phone, that I feel the urge to pick it up and to start browsing social media. And I don't think I'm addicted to my phone. I spend a lot less time on it than most people I know. And I think a lot of that is because of big chunky physical books like this one that I am very, very much enjoying. And I keep holding it upside down, but you can probably read it. So I prefer a physical book because I don't get distracted anywhere near as easily. I often, when I'm reading a physical book, will actually take all the distractions away. So I'll take my electrical devices, I'll put them on the other side of the room. I'll often connect headphones so I can't even hear them if they're buzzing or going off. I'll take off my smartwatch, or I'll put my phone in Do Not Disturb. That's how I enjoy reading, really, is to be fully disconnected and fully immersed in the world of reading. And I don't really get that with Kindle books. So, unfortunately, that's just something that I've kind of had to get over. So, do you own a Kindle? Which one do you have, and would you recommend it? Have you ever considered buying the Oasis, maybe upgrading to the Oasis? Like I said, if you live in the UK, the second-hand store CEX, it's not actually that hard to get hold of a Kindle Oasis from there. And if you've got, say for example, a recent Paperwhite, you can probably trade your Paperwhite in for an Oasis and not have to pay a huge amount of money. Who should buy the Paperwhite? People who don't want to spend £230, really. And I don't think it's worth buying the Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition, which comes with wireless charging, because wireless charging is also actually detrimental to battery health, because wireless charging creates heat. Heat reduces battery life. So it is a minimal reduction, but if you want to use your Kindle for 10 years and not, 3 to 5, don't charge it wirelessly. That's what I would say for every device. I don't charge my phone wirelessly because I want that thing to last. I don't charge even my earphones wirelessly. So, what do you think? Do you prefer books to Kindle books? Are you a minimalist like me and you don't like to keep any books? Or are you a maximalist and you have shelves upon shelves upon shelves, and your house looks like the perfect booktube backdrop and is not a old sofa bed with my wedding photos on the wall above us? So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinion on the Oasis. If you have any questions about the Oasis, please do ask in the comments below. The one thing that I haven't really gone into is how great the screen is, but it's a modern Kindle screen. It's 300 pixels per inch. It's as clear as I've ever wanted. I mean, look at this artwork on Voice of War. I'm trying to get its focus in a little bit. Yeah, look at this artwork. It looks incredible. Voice of War, also a great book. Would recommend it. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. And if, like I said, like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment if you didn't, to tell me how I can get better. And subscribe to the channel if you want to see some more reviews, more book tags, or loads of fun stuff that I plan to do this week. If I can finish The Outsider, then you'll have a review for that pretty soon as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.